through the UFC rankings and found that there were 11 fighters that did not compete in 2024. So in today's video, I'm going to rank the least notable to most notable fighters who did not have a fight this year. My name is James Lynch. So I'm talking about the current UFC rankings. There's, a few names like Dominic Cruz, for example, who were in the rankings. But if you look right now at bantamweight, Dominic Cruz has been removed. And we're going to go through the list right now. Some of these names may surprise you in terms of maybe names that you forgot or names that you were probably surprised that are even ranked. So we're going to start first with Julia Avila. So she did not fight this year. Avila is still ranked in the bantamweight division, 36 years old. Has not fought since that loss to Miesha Tate last December. Does have a scheduled fight coming up here February 15th against Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I am not sure why she did not fight this year. Didn't have a chance to interview or speak to her. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments, but I haven't heard any reason why she has not fought. Okay, next fighter we're going to talk about is Tagir Ulanbekov, 15-2. He wanted to fight this year, had a couple fights that did not pan out, including a fight with Alex Perez that he ended up getting rebooked out of. He was supposed to fight Joshua Van. He ended up missing weight, and so the fight ended up being off. Did have a grappling match against Yusuf Formiga, which he ended up losing, and is going to be fighting Clayton Carpenter on the UFC 311 card, which makes sense. His teammates, Islam Makhachev and Umar Nurmagomedov, are going to be on that card too. But Tagir Ulanbekov, I'm sure, looking to have a big year. Of course, his last fight was that win over Cody Durden and had a win over Nate Maness prior to that. This is a guy who I think will make some noise at flyweight this year, and again, just 33 years old. Okay, next fighter that is notable on this list. I guess he didn't technically fight in the UFC, but we did see him fight this year, and that is Marvin Vettori. Of course, there's that famous video of him and Brendan Allen duking it out at a casino in Florida. Vettori, just 31 years old. Not good that he hasn't competed. I'm not sure if there's injuries or what sort of happened there, but he was supposed to fight Brendan Allen back in April and didn't really hear why he was out. I'm assuming it was an injury, but he has not fought since June of 2023. Again, on a bit of a skid here, losing 2 of his last 3 fights. He's losing to really good opposition here. I mean, look at the losses here. Adesanya, Whitaker, Cannonier. We'll see if he can turn it around. I know Vettori has left Vegas and is now training at American Top Team, so we'll see if anything gets scheduled here in the next little bit. Again, the time I'm recording this, maybe he does get a fight booked between now and then, but we got to see Vettori back because he's pretty high up in the middleweight rankings. What do they have him at right now? He's ranked number 7, so I think they gotta do something with him here soon. And if he's not going to be coming back anytime soon, take him out of the rankings. One of the things I always talk about on my channel is if you haven't fought for over a year, they should take you out of the rankings. That's an entirely different video we'll do another time. Okay, after Marvin Vettori, we have Miesha Tate. I put Tate over Vettori and Ulanbekov and all these other fighters because she was a former UFC champion, so we got to add her in here. 38 years old, though. I don't really know where Miesha wants to go from here. She has the win over Julia Avila. It's funny that her and Avila both did not fight this year. And I know Tate's doing a lot of things outside the cage in terms of other, opportunities and all that, but I don't really know what the plan is with Miesha Tate. She's kind of become a bit of an afterthought because we didn't really hear of her returning or fighting at all this year. I don't really know what's going on with her, to be honest. And again, she's going to try and make maybe a run here at bantamweight. Bantamweight's kind of a wide open division, so hopefully Miesha will get some action in this year. We'll see what happens. If not, I'm not sure what Miesha wants to do. So that's Miesha Tate, the former bantamweight champion. Okay, next fighter on this list is Nikita Krylov. Really unfortunate what happened to him. He was supposed to fight Azamat Murzakanov. That was going to be a great fight for the weight class, 2 ranked fighters. Krylov's still 32 years old. I keep forgetting that because he's had I think 2 stints with the UFC so far. Not really sure why we have not seen him fight that much. His last fight was against Ryan Spann back in March of 2023, so really long layoff here. And then prior to that, fought in 2022. He had 3 fights that year. Hopefully we'll see Krylov back. Hopefully he gets a good opponent here. I'm not really sure how long Murzakanov is going to be out of action here, but right now, Nikita Krylov, no idea what's going to be next for him. Maybe, we just had Dominic Reyes win last weekend. Maybe that's an option, although I think Krylov's a lot further ahead. Krylov currently ranked in the division number 8, so would be nice to see him back in here pretty soon. A couple names up here that would be some fun matchups for him. Okay, next fighter on this list is Beneil Dariush. He is 35 years old, and we have not seen him since that loss to Arman Tsarukyan back in December. A lot of December fighters that didn't get to fight this year. I know he was dealing with some injury stuff. I did see him on the red carpet this year at International Fight Week. I know he's looking to get back in there pretty soon, but thankfully, we don't have to wait long to see him fight again. He's going to be fighting Renato Moicano at UFC 311 on the first pay-per-view of the year. So that's good to see him back. And we'll see if he's able to turn it around. Kind of like Vettori. You look at the losses he's had. Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. I mean, those are two really good fighters in the weight class. Still has that win over Gamrot, which has aged quite well, considering Gamrot's been sticking around in the rankings. Yeah, big fight here with Moicano. If he can win that, maybe we'll see a bit of a run from him in 2025. Okay, next fight on this list is another lightweight. The Ataman Rafael Fiziev. So he has not fought since the loss to Gamrot, which is a leg injury. So understandable we haven't seen him back because obviously he injured his leg in that fight. A lot of people I've heard want to see that rematch. I wouldn't mind that, actually, considering Gamrot's coming off a loss. It was kind of a weird fight. It just ended in the second round. It was kind of like the Jan Blachowicz and Alexander Rakic fight a few years ago. Lost the fight to Gaethje. I mean, this was a guy that we thought for sure, I think, was going to either fight for a title or be in a really good contenders fight, although technically the Gaethje fight, I guess, was a contenders fight. But yeah, a lot of momentum in, after the loss to Mustafayev, going on a nice win streak here, a lot of finishes. I still think Fiziev, 31 years old, is someone that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the lightweight division. So, hopefully we see him rebooked here pretty soon. I know Jalen Turner doesn't have an opponent booked. Maybe that's the fight. Maybe they do the Gamrot rematch. I'm not entirely sure, but Fiziev is someone for sure that I'm excited to see back in action. Okay, next fighter on this list, not too surprising here, Tatiana Suarez. Thankfully, she is getting the title fight against Weili Zhang. Was supposed to fight December 7th at UFC 310 against Verna, and instead she gets the title shot. So it wasn't too bad for her, but she had 2 scheduled fights, 2 withdrawals, and just hasn't fought a ton, right? Like she had the 2 fights in 2023, and then 2019 she was out there, got that win over Nina Nunes, and then obviously had some injuries and was dealing with that. And that's sort of been the story of your career. But glad to see Suarez get the title shot. Let's knock on wood though she's healthy and we get to see that fight, because that is one of my most highly anticipated fights for next year, is Tatiana Suarez and Weili Zhang. Really looking forward to that one in the strawweight division. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Josh Emmett didn't fight this year. 39 years old. He had that huge win over Bryce Mitchell, and then I believe he had just had injuries. So that's why we haven't seen him, but it's tough for a guy like Emmett who's getting up there in age. And, again, that win over Mitchell gave him new life in the weight class. That was a really, really brutal knockout win that he got there. So we'll see if Emmett's able to go on any type of run. I would hope he's going to get a notable opponent next, and he can kind of move his way up. And again, one thing that's a little bit of a badge of honor, he went the distance with Ilia Topuria. That's a pretty good, looking back now with who Topuria's finished his last 2 fights, Volkanovski and Holloway. Really curious to see if Emmett can make some noise next year, but he's got to do it here quickly because, again, he's getting close to 40. He is going to be 40 in March, so we'll see if he's able to do anything and get a good opponent here. Okay, we're getting down to the top 2. Again, this is just based off who the most notable fighters are. We got former UFC champion Jan Blachowicz. If you remember, he was supposed to fight at the beginning of the year against Alexander Rakic, but had that shoulder injury, and then we heard that maybe he would fight by the end of the year, but sounds like they weren't able to do something. Now, at the time of recording this video, my understanding is Jan does have a fight book. We don't know who the opponent is, but he hasn't fought since that split decision loss to Alex Pereira, which, again, talking about losses that have aged well, Pereira's finished all of his opponents since then. Jan's the only man to go the distance with him in light heavyweight, so I would like to see him back in action soon. I hope, I wouldn't mind a Jan and Krylov fight or Jan and Ulberg or something that's going to get him closer to a potential rematch against Alex Pereira. Would totally be down for that. But yeah, very, very interested to see what is in store for Jan Blachowicz, another fighter that's getting up there in age, but we'll see if the surgeries and the layoff is actually going to pay dividends for him next year. And topping the list, most notable fighter on this list, Kamaru Usman, did not fight this year. Of course, he has not fought since the loss to Khamzat Chimaev on short notice. There was some talk about him maybe stepping in and fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov or Ian Gary for the UFC 310 card. He is 37 years old. He's got a good podcast. That's going very well. I am not sure if we were going to see him back. I know there's some talk about his next fight, but I hope he comes back. But, honestly, at this point, I don't really think he has much to prove, considering how good of a champion he was at 170. But he's also one of these guys where, he gets a win or two, he could be right back in the mix at welterweight. Remember, his last loss was at middleweight, so he's really only lost to Leon Edwards. He got the head kick knockout loss in a fight he was winning, and then he lost a close fight in the trilogy. So we'll see if Usman is able to come back and do any damage. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you like this concept? Trying to find some different stuff here for year-end content. I thought this was kind of interesting. I know this was fun going through the list of the rankings and seeing who did not compete this year. Kind of like doing this type of content. I don't know. I'm just one of those like nerds that way where I enjoy seeing, kind of keeping up to date on who's fighting, who's not. I got a bunch of more year-end content coming out here pretty soon. Let me know what you think. Let me know the order. Would you have this in a different order, or is there anyone I missed? I'm pretty sure I got everyone, but if there's anyone else I missed, please let me know in the comments. Would love to have a discussion about this with you. And what do you think about some of these fighters potentially fighting next year? Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.